Hey there, amazing souls! I'm Marisha, and have I got a jaw-dropping story for you. It's about a stunning and ambitious lady on the brink of taking on the world. But things take a wild turn when she stumbles upon a mind-blowing surprise she never saw coming. Stay tuned. Alana sat across from her boyfriend, Marcus, in an upscale restaurant, the ambient lighting casting a warm glow around them. The clinking of glasses and soft chatter filled the air, but Alana felt a growing sense of isolation. Marcus was animatedly recounting his latest work triumphs, his voice booming with pride as he leaned back in his chair, completely absorbed in his own world. I just landed that big account, you know? The one I told you about last week. He exclaimed, oblivious to Alana's distant gaze. She had tried to express her excitement about her own projects, her dreams of advancing in her career, but Marcus seemed uninterested, his focus solely on himself. When the waiter approached to take their order, Alana hesitated. She had been craving the grilled salmon, a dish she loved for its delicate flavors. But before she could say anything, Marcus turned to the waiter with a confident smile. Let's get her the steak. She loves a good steak, right? He said, his tone leaving no room for discussion. Alana's heart sank. Actually, I was hoping for the salmon, she managed to say, but her voice was barely a whisper compared to Marcus' booming confidence. He waved off her comment with a casual laugh, and the waiter nodded, jotting down the order. As they waited for their food, Alana found herself tuning out Marcus' monologue about his job, her mind drifting to what could have been. She glanced around the restaurant, watching couples engage in lively conversations, sharing laughter. It was a stark contrast to her own experience, and a wave of discontent washed over her. Just then, her phone buzzed on the table, startling her from her daydream. It was her boss, Karen. Alana's heart raced as she answered. Alana, I need you to fly to Alaska tomorrow to finalize that deal we discussed. It's urgent, Karen said, her voice crisp and professional. Of course, I'll make the arrangements, Alana replied, her spirits lifting momentarily. This was a big opportunity, a chance to prove herself and break free from the mundane routine that had begun to suffocate her. As she hung up, she couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. But as she looked back at Marcus, still droning on about his latest project, the thrill of the impending trip clashed with the reality of her relationship. Hey, I just got a call from work. I have to fly to Alaska tomorrow, she said, trying to inject some enthusiasm into her tone. Alaska? Really? That's nice. But don't you think it's a bit cold for you? I mean, you've always preferred the sun, he replied, dismissing her news with a wave of his hand. Alana felt a pang of frustration. Marcus had no interest in her ambitions or the significance of the trip. She smiled politely but felt increasingly aware that their relationship was not what she wanted. The next morning, Alana boarded the company's private plane, the familiar hum of the engine, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions she had felt the night before. It was just her and the pilot, a man named Jake, who greeted her with a warm smile, ready for an adventure. He asked as they prepared for takeoff. Alana felt a spark of hope. More than ready, she replied, the weight of her relationship lifting as they ascended into the sky. The clouds enveloped them, and she watched the world below shrink away, her heart racing with possibilities. Alana sat back in her seat on the small private plane, feeling the hum of the engine beneath her. The snowflakes danced outside the window, creating a serene winter wonderland. The plane soared into the clouds, and a sudden lurch jolted her from her thoughts. Mayday, Mayday! The pilot's voice crackled through the intercom, a stark contrast to the peaceful scene outside. We've lost engine power. Panic surged through Alana as the plane began to falter. The pilot fought to regain control, but it was no use, they were heading down fast. The world spun around her, and then came the deafening impact. Darkness engulfed her. When Alana finally regained consciousness, she felt a wave of disorientation wash over her. The plane had flipped upside down, and she was strapped in, dangling precariously. Her body ached, bruises blooming on her skin. After struggling for what felt like an eternity, she managed to free herself from the seatbelt, landing roughly on the cold, snow-covered ground. Heart racing, she crawled over to where the pilot had been. But as she checked for signs of life, her heart sank. He was gone. Alone in the wilderness, fear gripped her. How would she survive in this frigid, desolate place? Taking a deep breath, Alana forced herself to focus. She needed supplies. Searching the wreckage of the plane, she found a few essentials, a couple of blankets, a first aid kit, and some non-perishable food. It would last her 3 days if she rationed carefully. That night, the blizzard rolled in, howling winds and swirling snow engulfing her makeshift shelter. The blankets felt thin against the biting cold, but she huddled beneath them, surviving the night through sheer will. When dawn broke, the world outside was breathtaking white. Alana knew she had to move. With renewed determination, she set out on foot, her breath visible in the icy air. She trudged through the snow for what felt like miles, hope dwindling with each step. Just when she began to despair, a wisp of smoke caught her eye in the distance. There, nestled among the trees, was a small wooden cabin. Alana's heart raced as she drew closer. The warmth of a fire flickered inside, a beacon of hope. She hurried in, finding solace in the crackling flames. After a short while, the door creaked open, and a handsome man stepped inside. His presence filled the room, and he looked startled to see her. "Who are you, and why are you here?" he asked, concern etched on his face. "I was in a plane crash," Alana stammered, her mind racing. "I'm the only survivor." But as she tried to introduce herself, panic flooded back. She couldn't remember her name. The man's expression softened. "You must have hit your head." "I'm John. I'm a doctor. Let me check you out." He examined her gently, noting the bruises and scrapes but thankfully finding no broken bones. Alana felt grateful for his kindness as he treated her wounds and offered her hot chocolate, the warmth spreading through her body. The storm raged outside, and they spent the next few days in the cabin, sharing stories and laughter. With each passing hour, Alana felt a bond forming between them. As the blizzard slowly subsided, fragments of her memory returned. She recalled her home in Jacksonville, her boyfriend, who was often self-absorbed and inattentive. When the storm finally cleared, Alana found herself torn. She returned to her busy life, but something was missing. The kindness and warmth John had shown her lingered in her heart, and she realized she missed him deeply. The more she thought about it, the clearer it became she needed to break free from her old life. After a difficult but necessary breakup with her boyfriend, Alana set out to find John. Her heart raced as she approached the cabin, unsure of what she would say. When John opened the door, his face lit up with surprise and joy. "Alana!" he exclaimed, pulling her into a warm embrace. They talked for hours, sharing their feelings openly. Both had felt a deep connection, one that transcended the chaos they had faced. In the weeks that followed, Alana and John explored their feelings, falling in love amidst the backdrop of snowy landscapes and warm fires. They built a life together, filled with laughter, adventure, and a shared love for the outdoors. Alana had gone from a life of ambition and loneliness to one of love and warmth, proving that sometimes, the most unexpected journeys lead to the happiest endings. Together, they embraced the future, hand in hand, ready to face whatever came their way.